So I'm here today with Kari Hohne. Kari, thank you so much for joining me. And although we're here to focus on your music today, I just wanted to highlight that you are multi-talented. You are a best-selling author, a developer of mobile apps. You have traveled all over the world, supporting native languages and studying with shamans.
Yeah, I basically have spent a lot of time studying with shamans for the healing property, to understand the healing properties of drumming. For example, the American Indian drum the tonality is much deeper, resonates more to the root chakra. I believe that drumming can be very healing, and a lot of the work that you mentioned, the books that I write or apps that I create, I'm going to be on a seminar about consciousness hacking, and that's kind of what, there's a bunch of us that are out to sort of break people free from their paradigm, and I use my dream analysis app, as you mentioned, help people understand the unheard voice within them. What's happening when they're dreaming is the side of them that has something to say that maybe isn't making it into consciousness during the day. And with my drumming, I'm also working to help people shift, and people will say, oh, your music just makes me feel good. I don't know why. And I think I've purposely set out to create something not unlike yoga, where you use the drumming to put the body into submission. And then you've got some really great vibes that are allowing another side of us to have expression.
When did you first get the music bug, and what was your moment of influence?
Well, I heard music when I was little all the time. I heard music in everything. And in fact, I always talk about, if I'm in San Francisco, the foghorns and the noises, it will start to compose into music for me. And I wrote my first song when I was 6. I had a guitar that I got with my first income tax check, and kind of was Bob Dylan-esque. But it was really the MIDI. I'm also very technologically inspired. And it was I paint, like music is also a very visual, geometric thing for me. So to see music digitally and visually, that really is where I think my music was able to sort of take off from just, strumming and composing.
Can you share with me how Get Tribal got started?
I'm very much interested in tearing down all of the walls that we have between cultures that don't understand each other, or intolerance. So if I'm writing a book studying mythology around the world, it's basically to show that we have the same story, we're just telling it a little bit differently. And so Get Tribal was, again, I'm doing that with the music because I'm putting a Buddhist chant in an Afro-Caribbean, composition, or it's just like there's a place for everything. So I think it's really that pushing people past the intolerance, or, I think if God did bounce a message back to us, it would be like, lighten up, right. There is no truth.
Right. Can you tell me a little bit more on your first album, God of Drum?
Yeah, it was basically, I studied the most ancient percussion from a region, like the Gaelic drum that you hear in the Scottish bagpipe, or the chalk. Chalk is a track from the Maya, and that's much more of a wood percussion. They're using a lot more of that hollow shells, and so every track was it was based on thunder. It was all inspired by the different thunder deities from each region. Like Donair was the Nordic, and that's got like a chariots of fire kind of, feel to it. And so, but each track again was, the American Indian is the first track, and that's the sacral chakra, not the sacral, but the root chakra. And then the Gaelic is really the sacral. And when you get into the rounds of the flute and the Celtic, violins and strings, that's the heart. And so it became sort of a chakra awakening through the chakra centers. And it did really well. We were really surprised to be nominated for Best New Artist at CMR and Best World Album. So that was kind of a surprise, but I think, it's very inspirational.
Yeah. Kari, tell me about your most recent release, Radio God, and how that came to be.
Well, Radio God, for me, the inspiration, part of it was Burning Man, like these crazy things that would come out of the desert and play, And Radio God to me really was the idea that if things went out there and got blended back together, so Radio God has like a little bit of kind of a space sound to it. It's every track. I think what we had the most fun with was taking a very ethnic drum and then mixing in hip hop and all kind. So to have the ancient sort of sounds, like there's a track called Taba that is music from Mesopotamia, but then I was inspired by that mummy coming out of the desert, Imhotep, and so like the second track, which is Ruah, which is taking a Hebrew chant, Shema Yisrael, but we set it in a MGM Bible movie soundtrack, and so to take like what's fiction and what's sacred and what's real and what's fantasy and to just spin it around. It's fun. It just ends up having a fun vibe.
So, Kari, what have been some surprises for you when recording the album?
Well, I was really pleasantly pleased to be in now the Chill. Like, we're now being considered for Album of the Year at ZMR, but also Best Chill Groove. Anyway, yeah, I like more of that sexy sound that's coming out in Radio God, and I'm kind of leaning more. This new album I'm working on is called Runway, and it's kind of that trance. So I like that the music's evolving on its own, and taking on its own life.
What's to come for you in 2016?
A lot of my music is very cinematic, so I've been shopping it around a little bit in that area too. So I like kind of the drama that's in my music.